fingers crossed, we've sellotaped everything together and it should be working now. If it is, you'll be seeing all 4 of our game captures on the screen right now, as well as our 4, I was going to say wonderful faces, but honestly, I'm just going to say faces. So we couldn't really recap 2020 without mentioning racing. Racing is a huge part of Elite for several communities, and it is just genuinely a really awesome part of the game. So we wanted to show that off. And when I think racing and Elite Dangerous, 2 names come to mind, and those are the Buckyball Racing Club and Elite Racers. And we are lucky enough to have a very special guest from each of those. So do we have the disembodied voices of Commanders Alec Turner and Black Maze?
Hopefully.
Sure
Hello,
do.
everyone.
Excellent. Well, welcome both of you, and thank you so much for helping us out with this. It really does mean a lot.
No problem. Absolute pleasure to be here again.
Thank you. Big 07 to the thousands of people watching and waiting for good news on Odyssey.
Yeah, absolutely. Alec, did you want to start things off by talking a little bit about the Buckyball Racing Club, who you guys are, what you do, and how people can get involved?
Yeah, I can do that. I mean, I think we've covered it a lot, but for people who don't know, Buckyball Racing Club has been around pretty much the entire lifespan of the game. It was started by one individual, a guy called Electric Z, and then we took it over when he sort of semi-retired. So the Buckyball Racing Club, we tend to stage time trial races where somebody will create the race, the sort of thing you're going to see tonight, really. Usually a little bit longer than this one. This one should only take about 10 minutes or so.
You're
maybe.
saying that, Alec.
Yeah, I realised as I was saying it. Obviously, that depends on certain factors. Anyway, so yeah, and we'll usually run our races for about a week, and the race organizer will collect people's times and maintain a scoreboard throughout the week. And so people are trying, to go faster and faster and move their way up the leaderboard. And we've done 6 races this year, I think. In a slightly slow year, actually, in general. Overall, we've done over 75 races now since the game started.
Amazing.
It's got to be said, Alec is being super modest. Alec organizes all races and all
This is a lie. This is a vicious lie, I have to say. There's as much truth to this as there is in the free Anaconda at Hutton Orbital.
I got mine.
That's not true.
That's true. That is true.
Pretty sure I got
What are you
Well, there
talking
you go.
about?
There you go.
And Commander Black Maze, would you like to? I mean, it's largely a similar situation with Elite Racers, right?
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to be here and talk a little bit about them. Elite Racing Club is very much the same, but it is more orientated around in-instance ship racing, and now recently as well SRV racing, rally racing, and rallycross around settlements. But it very much is setting out a course around a settlement or even an orbit station in space, just creating a track, creating a sort of route, and hosting a session where people come together super loose. It's kind of like underground racing where people can just pick a Saturday or a Sunday, get together and do some nice racing. There's usually heats with timings, and a very familiar setup is that there's about 5 heats on an evening, and the quickest guys of those heats will then participate in a final race on the same evening. And yeah, that's Elite Racing.
Fantastic. All right. Just to mention something someone's brought up in the chat. Yes, you're going to notice a little bit of a delay between audio and video. That's just one of the unfortunate side effects of all of the technical hurdles we've had to jump through to make this happen. So please bear with us. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us, guys. Alec, would you like to talk the chat through and us what we're going to be attempting to do on the screen?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. It's always quite hard to judge a race, particularly when you've been racing as long as I have, and to judge difficulty level. So I sort of mentioned in theory this is a 10-minute race. We'll see. So the idea of this race was, when you recently, I think a couple of weeks ago, you put back that lovely video sort of looking back at where we've come from over the last 5 years and the things we've done, and looking ahead to Odyssey. And one thing that struck me is the forms of transportation we've had and are going to have. So up to now, we've had our ships, we've had ship launch fighters, and we've had SRVs, and soon we're going to be out on our feet. So I thought it would be nice to celebrate the ships, SRVs and SLFs. So the idea of this race is we're going to have a short SRV run. It's about 3 kilometers to the outside of the city. That I don't know what you're streaming yet, but you'll see it eventually. 3 kilometer SRV run to the city. We drive in through a tunnel and we get in our ships. Then we take off in our ships, deploy the ship launch fighter as soon as we've got a decent distance away from the city. And then we have to fly through both tunnels in the city in our ship launch fighter, which
a good tunnel on a fighter. If anyone wants a CQC stream, that would be easy.
easy. Fighters are tiny. Go straight
Alec,
through.
you're participating, right?
Apparently.
I'd put money on you coming in second, but I have no faith in the rest.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay, because you're
Okay.
going to be first.
Nice.
Is that it?
Nice.
I just want to point
And
out
then
that I'm probably a couple of seconds ahead of people on the videoing, so it might look like I'm going faster, and it'll be even more embarrassing when I'm last. But you know,
I'll
not
do
that
my
bad.
absolute best to commentate the action for you, gentlemen, and keep everybody up to date with who's in the
Okay.
lead and what is happening.
Excellent. All right.
I like it.
Just to finish on that, so once you've gone through both in through one tunnel and out through the other in your ship launch fighter, you then have to rejoin your ship and then fly your ship in through one tunnel and out through the other, and then land the ship. So quick recap: through one of the tunnels in the SRV, through both tunnels in a ship launch fighter, and through both tunnels in your ship,
Okay,
and land.
so
Easy.
All right.
I've got this.
Nice and simple.
I bet we all crash our ships. That's going to be my bet. Not you, Alec, but I reckon we're all going to crash our ships.
Can I give you some advice? I'll give you one word of advice with this race. This race is a classic race where it's a case of less haste and more speed. So
Don't listen
particularly
to
when you're
Alec.
lining up with the tunnels, if you can just go through nice and cleanly and in the middle of the tunnel, don't rush it. Don't try and go fast. You'll do way better than if you try and rush it and hit the tunnel and go into a spin, and you'll just lose so much time. So
Faster is
You
better.
hear that, Bruce? Go as fast as you can.
I heard it. I mean, you're going to spend your whole race inside the tunnel, mate. So
Do you know what really
I know.
upsets, do
I
you know
know.
what upsets me? Do you know what upsets me is that as I've seem to only have 2 scarabs and 1 fighter, so this could be done this could be done really quickly. Yeah, this is going to be exciting.
all right. Well, as a wise man once said, the only way to do it is to do it. So I think we should just get started and
Yeah, let's go for it.
see what happens.
I like that Stephen is so sure he's going to win this one. He's starting about half a kilometer back from everybody.
Yeah, that's how.
Oh, excellent.
I've given
I like that.
because I'm a couple of seconds behind, and I knew that
It compensates.
I'm
Nice.
compensating for it. So I just feel that they'll make mistakes that I can learn from.
Well, you do
All
have
right.
some wall climbing practice under your belt, so
So,
who
I know,
knows?
they call me the Spider SRV. That's what they
I call you something.
I suppose it's only fair if our commentator counts us in, and then we'll all hit deploy and we'll just go for it, I suppose.
Sounds good. Is everybody ready? Alec included?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay,
Let's
Yeah.
go.
I'm actually, just before we do this, I want to turn you up a wee bit, Black Mage, if that's all right.
Yeah, do it. Go for it.
I will just point out we've all landed beautifully facing the city, which is almost exactly the wrong thing to do because the SRV comes out backwards. So we're all going to have to start by doing a 180 in the SRV.
Extra challenge.
But it looks good. Yeah, it
extra
looks good.
challenge, extra
Or you get bonus points if you keep the stream going for 24 hours and circumnavigate the planet to finish.
challenge.
Yeah, I'm game. I'm going this way. Right, let's do that.
Yeah, let's not do that. Okay.
Big shout out to the community around circumnavigating because it is impressive what these
Yes.
gents are doing.
Yes, 100%. Right. Are we all ready?
Yep.
Ready.
Yep.
Right. So there are 5 beautiful keelbacks lined up here on the planet surface of Napier Stadium, Napier installation. So racers, on your marks for a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and off you go. Now it'll
Right.
be not a lot of action for a few seconds here as we see all the keelbacks raise their legs, preparing themselves to lower the SRV down onto the surface, let's see who gets a clean start. Like Alec mentioned, everybody starting in reverse. We see Alec's ship already taking off. He sent it off. There's no need for that. I see Steven in the back with a good flying leap. That's very impressive. No, that's Alec. Of course it's Alec.
How do you call your ship?
Alec in the... you don't need to dismiss it. You can leave it where it is. No problem.
Okay.
We see Alec with an early lead over the rest, flying his way towards the stadium. The rest of the community managers taking it relatively gentle as they are driving their way across the terrain. It should be said, incredibly bumpy here. We have, let's see, Arthur, I think, in the lead, if we're talking about community managers, spinning out a little bit there as we see Zach about to overtake. Make sure to go to the settlement.
Oh, it's that way. I see it now. All right.
I bet I'll get beat by Bruce after that.
Yeah, checking out Steven and Bruce, they are definitely behind, as Bruce is only just now clearing the keelbacks. Same can be said for Steven, I think.
I thought you were meant to be like a nice commentator.
Oh, I just make people sweaty when I commentate.
I love it.
Sweaty hands. We have Arthur in a definite lead for the community managers here. Alec, why don't you tell us how you're doing?
I'm just going in through the tunnel now.
What?
Yeah, me too.
Right,
How can that be the case?
I know, like, that's unbelievably quick. Is it
We have Zach very, very close to Arthur. They are pretty much in line here with about, 2 kilometers left to go to the stadium wall, I think.
Oh, you guys have been practicing.
I think that was it. I think
They breathe the SRV.
Zach-
The ballers, the elite racers, they breathe the SRV.
See, I just think Zach's been practicing all week when he was supposed to be working.
Yeah, I think so too. I don't see any other.
Mind you, I think Arthur definitely has it down. He's getting some good airtime as he jumps over the hills here at Napier Stadium. We do see still Zach in the back, only just behind him. Let's see if he can keep it going. Make sure that try and aim for the gate as well, guys. As you get close to the wall, make sure you're still heading towards the gate so that you don't have to spend a lot of time driving along the gate to go through it. Careful of the skimmers as well. If you hit those, you'll have angry
Hippos.
security. Oh, who is coming in here with the jump? We see that's Bruce with an incredible jump, an incredible leap as he is kind of tumbling his way towards the gate. He has overtaken both Bruce and Arthur. Sorry, Zach and Arthur. As we see Bruce then making his way in now, first place, if we disregard Alec for a second.
I'm just about to deploy my ship launch fighter.
Right,
so as soon as you go into the left panel, the contacts panel, and there you'll see the...
That's it, I totally forgot how to do it. Where's my ship?
I'm following Bruce here as he is well on his way to the docking bay for the SRV. And the nice thing about this, something that a lot of people don't actually know, is that if you have your ship parked out in the desert somewhere and you go to a settlement, you can request docking clearance and your ship will be there for you waiting. One of the luxury things we get to make it easy to get back to your ship. And that's why you didn't need to dismiss your ship, because it sets off on its own.
Yeah,
Right.
the only reason I dismissed mine is to get it out of the way, really.
Yeah.
Oh, we have Zach, Bruce, and Arthur all going for their base pretty much simultaneously. And it even looks like they're all... Look at them. Wow. We have Bruce going for his own docking bay. We see Arthur and Zach, I think, going for the same one. Actually, we have Zach kind of confused, not sure where to go. Of course, if you have docking clearance, just look at your little compass to see where to go with the little dot.
I was looking for my
Yeah, I got docking clearance.
The garages are just on the right as you go in.
Mine's on the left.
Yeah, he's standing right next to
sweaty.
them. I'm waiting for them to appear in their ships. It looks like we have Bruce now on the landing pad. He is now launching. Next to him, very, very close behind Zach. They're going into the air simultaneously, both at the same time, but Bruce boosting and Zach not boosting, probably forgetting about his landing gear. That's not going to help him. Get those boosts going.
Up now.
It's very unfair.
I'm following Bruce.
Tense.
One of the
Loving
good
this
things you can do
commentary.
here, of course, you're going up in order to clear the perimeter. Okay, we see Bruce preparing to launch his Viter.
Oh my goodness, I'm so bad at this.
There is Bruce launching his fighter. He's got one of the Guardian fighters looking ever beautiful.
So yeah, I love racing.
Yeah, I can't even request my ship. I just get denied. It's too close, apparently.
I'm trying to get into my hangar bay. Oh man.
Oh boy.
As long
So there is a definite gap now between the racers. I'm following Bruce here, who is obviously in the lead over the community developers.
Do you know what annoys me?
Me and Steven are out.
No, we're still in it. We're still in it.
Alec, where are you? What's going on with you?
Just flying in through a tunnel in my keelback. Just about to
Right,
do the
so
second
Alec
tunnel in the
already onto
keelback.
the next stage. We see Bruce, who is now going for the stage where he has to fly his ship-launched fighter Guardian
Can't find
through
the
one of the
tunnel.
gates.
neither
Yeah,
can
just
I.
keep flying around until you find a tunnel. Keep going counterclockwise.
Night
You're
vision will
almost
help.
there.
If you turn on night vision, it will help. you
There it
find
is. Turn right now.
How did I get back into my ship again?
No.
You have to request it and then drive into a
A
garage.
little bit too far there, Bruce.
I'm in the
Overshooting
garage.
a little bit.
I'm in the garage.
And then go down
There
to
it is. So Bruce now aiming for the tunnel. What he has to do is he has to fly through the tunnel and then through the tunnel on the opposite side. So just fly through the base
Where's
and
my...
find your way. It's pretty much, it's directly opposite. So just navigate your way through. Bruce on his good way to second place. If we still count Alec, who obviously knows what he's doing.
I'm in my
You'll
hangar, I'm pretty sure, and I can't seem to get
Did you
into my-
request boarding permission, Stephen?
I did.
I cannot find.
And if you go down to the mode switch panel, there should be an option now to board the ship. If you're in the
We're
the
watching
garage.
Bruce almost hitting the stadium while on the opposite side as he slows down and now makes his way through the tunnel.
I'm in the garage and it's not coming up for me.
Bruce coming out the other side. Now the next thing for him to do is to request
Finished.
docking clearance with his mothership. Alec with a first place finish. No surprises there, let's face it.
Down the
So
tunnel.
again, Bruce is looking for his mothership,
Hit the
his
tunnel.
mother keelback, requesting permission to dock and then looking to dock with it before he does exactly the same thing with the keelback that he did with the SLF, going through the tunnels.
Wait, I am Commander Serious Spaceman now. Yeah, I'm Serious Spaceman.
What's happening, Bruce?
I'm trying to find my ship.
All right, so
There-
this is a good opportunity for the other community managers to catch up as he's looking for his ship. I think I spot it.
So I'm in my thingy. I'm in my.
No, that's a Type 9.
I'm in my.
Have
You
you
should see it
managed-
on your sensors.
Yeah. So if
Have
I
you managed to get back in
I've
your
gone
ship,
through the
Stephen?
other tunnel. I request my ship to come back, right?
No. I've got. So I've con.
So your ship is always staying around if you're in the SLF.
Yeah. So I'm here, and apparently my ship is in here. Like up. It's up there. It's just not letting me in. Can everyone see that? Yeah. Look, that's my ship. That's where my ship is. And if I drive in. Oh, and if I hit the.
Bruce?
I'm genuinely so lost. All right.
Bruce, if you can find me in the Viper, I am next to your ship.
All right, I found it. All right.
That feels a
It's a
bit
lot of-
unfair.
Lost a lot of time there. No,
Uh-oh. I didn't
it's
say
fine.
that out loud.
We all heard it.
I'm just rocking with my own ship as well.
Is that from the SLF?
Yep.
Wow, so people have definitely caught up as Bruce here was struggling to find his Mama keelback. He doesn't have docking clearance just yet, so the bay isn't open. We're waiting for him to request docking clearance. That's done through the roll panel, the panel between the knees. And for the other community managers, keep us posted about what's happening because Bruce is definitely losing a lot of time here
There's.
as he's sitting around.
All right,
Actually get
switch
back in
my
my
ship
ship now. I'm now in my
Wow,
ship
so
back.
Arthur back in his ship. And that's Arthur is the crazy cosmonaut. Let's go find him. So Arthur then now heading in the keelback as he has completed the SLF stage. He is looking now while he's in his keelback for a stadium exit. And what he needs to do in the next stage is go through the gate and out the other side again, just like what was done with the SLF.
Yeah.
So I think that is Arthur in a second place. Stephen, how are you doing?
I'm in my thing. I'm in the garage or whatever, the hangar bay. I cannot get into my ship.
Wow.
I can't. Look, I'm actually.
Okay.
I'm right. So this. I don't have any options to get back into the ship.
Stephen,
I
can you
just
try
watched,
driving out of the garage and then back in again?
Got it. It's now letting me do it. I was clicking the button. It was not.
I
working.
just watched Arthur overshoot the entrance and clipping one of the domes. Now he's making his way through the tunnel, but the keelback only just fits. And now he gets stuck. If you get stuck, deploy your landing gear for a second and retract it again. That will get you unstuck. There you go.
shout.
Good job. So as soon as you deploy the landing gear, that's a tip for anyone watching as well. If you ever get your ship stuck, deploy the landing gear will unstuck you most of the time because it pushes you away from whatever you're stuck on. So in first place now, or in second place, if we think about Alec finishing already, is Arthur, the crazy cosmonaut, looking for the stadium exit on the other side of the base.
Well, I'm coming out of my
it.
tunnel now. I've already flown through now, so...
Oh, wow. So Bruce is overtaken again. Arthur. So that's the accredited. Let me see if I can find you real quick. Are you now going for docking, Bruce?
I am.
So Bruce now back in second place as he's looking to find his landing pad after completing the mothership tunnel through tunnel stage of the race.
This could be interesting.
I've left auto dock on for Arthur in case he wants to use it.
Burn! We see Bruce there dipping below the walls as he's trying to land, overshooting the pad a little bit, reorientating now his keelback, landing at platform 17. Coming in from the side though, he will need to use that yaw, the slow yaw on the keelback to get himself lined up. Where are the rest? What are you doing? Keep me posted. Keep everybody
I'm going
posted.
to land now.
I've just got my fighter out.
That's Arthur coming in to land. Call your landing. Call your landing.
Pad 20.
It might.
Pad 20.
No, just call it. Call out when you land, because it's going to be a tight
Okay.
one.
Going to be close.
We see
Oh, the
Bruce
auto-lock's
almost.
come in. Bruce has done me because he's put the auto dock on. It's took me all the way.
Oh!
Oh no,
yeah.
the auto dock's messing with me as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
this
shouldn't
is
have done
great
this.
as we see the community manager struggling with autodock. Let this be
Right.
a reminder for anybody looking to land. You do not want additional tools. Get that ship lightweight. Strip it from all unnecessary components.
I'm down.
Get the skills.
That's Arthur then with his second place finish.
That's so annoying.
Congratulations.
Nice
I
one.
was...
Nice one.
I'd literally touched the spot where I needed to land it. It just
Okay,
wasn't-
I'm going to say in
Yeah.
this case, the thing
I'll-
is,
Thing is,
I'll
I was
take-
also
yeah.
right next to landing. I was right next to
Yeah.
landing, and then the auto dock kicked in and threw me all the way up into space.
I
Yeah,
can
it's-
find
it's
right
un-
now.
it's
That's
not
so
really
annoying.
easy to find at this point who is the second place winner. I think it's gonna have to be, because you both struggled, it's gonna have to be a shared second place with Alec Turner killing the what's the word here I'm looking for?
I think practice.
The gossip that he always finishes in second place.
Yeah, sorry.
The rumor,
Sorry to
that's the one.
dispel that rumor.
Yeah.
I had to do it for the honor of the club. Sorry.
That's it.
Big congratulations to everybody though for finishing.
No,
that
it
was
great.
a
I
hectic
really
one.
enjoyed
Good
that.
job.
Do you know what?
Who finished?
I was winning. I was going to beat Bruce comprehensively, and then I got stuck in a tunnel twice.
I called it, mate. I told you, mate.
I couldn't call my shit. That's what
I
I'm
still
doing.
finished, and technically, though, Bruce, I still landed before you, mate. Even though you put on.
All right,
Landed
all right.
it.
I'll humbly let you have this. That's fine.
And I'm landed right now.
I felt bad for Stephen. He
Elite,
had
that's
problems
a
getting
finish
into
for
his
Sack then
garage.
as well. Good job. And let this show that racing really brings out the worst in people.
Yeah. Definitely. And do you know what? Like, I am not saying this to be slow down, Stephen. I'm not saying this. I think that I wouldn't have won anyway, but I did have some issues getting in.
I also had issues. I agree. Stephen.
Right now,
Right, that was a lot of fun, mate.
Practice makes
It
perfect.
was great. It's great fun.
right.
All right.
Well done, gentlemen.
Oh no, I went in the wrong
Thank you.
How close are the guys to us? Let's pop to external camera, see.
Yeah, just rub it in, Arthur. That's exactly what we want you to do right now.
I'm just asking how you're getting on, mate. I'm not rubbing it in.
Ugh, I'm
Me
not.
and Bruce, a bit like Top
Right.
Gear. Me and Bruce will meet you in the bar
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not.
when you
Too,
guys get
Definitely
in.
leave a man behind.
I'm not impressed with
All right.
my. How's,
Sorry, Steve, I'll let you finish.
Yeah, I'm. Oh wow! Why did it do that? I'm not impressed with myself, but what's happening with Zach?
I'm finished.
Oh, is he finished? Right. Well, definitely not finished.
Yeah, I'm finished.
All right. Well, as much as we love rubbing it in when Stephen is
Losing.
straight up not having a good time, I think we need to wrap things up so we can have time just for a little segment before. Oh no! Tell you what,
No.
I'm getting a message in just now.
No, I think what should.
Never mind
that. I think what
We're
should
gonna-
happen.
We're gonna watch Stephen in painful detail.
No, I don't think we should. I mean,
I
do you know what?
Finishes the race.
See, to be honest, I think I'll be able to fly my keel back through here much quicker than, like, without hitting it, is much better than you guys would. To be honest, if I can find.
All right.
head
Well,
room.
while
I'm
Stephen,
sure.
Yeah, man.
I was gonna say while Stephen shows us that, I'll go back to our guests, Alec and Black Maze. Thank you so much for doing that race for us. Black Maze, the commentary there was fantastic. Like at a professional level, it was really well done. So I
Appreciate
yeah,
that.
it's
Thank you.
excellent.
Um, I'll go to you one by one then. Would you, starting with Alec, like to sort of share the main places people can find out information about Buckyball and how they can get involved?
Yeah, sure. I think probably the easiest. We have a Discord server, which is probably our most active place these days. But rather than try and remember its rather cryptic server name, I think the best thing is if people go to our website, which is buckyballracing.org.uk. Actually, now I say it, let me just double check that is it racing or racing club? I really should know it, but I always forget. So it is buckyballracing.org.uk. On the homepage there, you'll see there's options to see all of our past races. We have a bunch of standing time trials. What that means is they're time trials that we're running in perpetuity. So if anyone fancies a go at getting themselves on a leaderboard, I think there's 5 of those. There's a couple of SRV ones. There's one in Colonia. There's the classic A-Star challenge. And right down the bottom of that first page is a link to our Discord if you want to come in and chat. We just have a sort of general chat channel, say hi. We currently haven't got a race on at the moment. We've got a race in the pipeline, which is going to be a little celebration of the fuel rats, actually, which is going to be called, I think it's now called Sidewinder Fuel Finder. And it's going to kind of put the races in the, I don't know if a lot of people will have remembered what it's like to be in a stock Sidewinder with very little range and no fuel scoop, and it kind of puts you back in that seat a little bit. So it should be fun, probably
Nice.
in January.
That sounds excellent. Thank you very much for that. Commander Black Maze, would you like to share the same for Elite Racers, how people can find you, where to look, and how to join?
Totally, yeah. So thank you for that, Bruce. And of course, the Elite Racers, it's very casual. The nice thing about Elite Racers is that anybody can just come in and host a race. It's all about getting people together, like-minded people that like to race. So come and join us. The best way is probably to type in Elite Racers on the subreddit, and there you'll find a Discord link. So just go to Reddit. You don't need to participate on Reddit. It's just the easiest way to find a Discord link. We're very much Discord oriented, so that's the easiest way to come and chat and have fun.
Awesome. Right. Well, thank you very much to both. Stephen, how are you doing over there?
Done, mate. I also think
All done.
I also think that Bruce did definitely sabotage us all with leaving on the dot.
Well, it's only
Greedo
sabotage.
always will be Greedo.
We're
We should know this by
Honestly-
now.
Guys. It's only
Who
sabotage
leaves-
if I don't do it to myself. Like,
Who leaves it up to somebody else to prepare their racing ship? Now, there's the bad strategy.
Well, I've had to
Yeah,
put this
Yeah,
Well,
whole
good racing
thing
needs to
together.
check their
Thank
own
you.
tyres.
I was putting all this together. So I don't have the time. Definitely. But I think what we'll do, guys, if we can, is jump to a back soon screen just while we get ready for the next segment, if everybody's
well,
okay with that.
before that, I just want to do a little something. So a quick reminder for people in the chat. Twitch drops are active, and yes, as Stephen says, we're going to hop off for a moment again while we prepare for the next bit. You are still earning your drops during that time. Sorry, you're earning your drops while we're live, but despite the break, it will continue racking up when we're back on. So don't worry about that. I think we have just enough time for a little giveaway number 2. So What should we have in the chat?
Exclamation mark autodoc.
Auto All right.
Now they do a goodie bag for this one. So that's the t-shirt, the water bottle, the earbuds.
Ooh-wee. Well,
Exclamation mark Autodoc in the chat, guys, and Stephen's going to pick out a name for us in a moment.
yeah, we'll do that once we come back from the back soon screen. So just say thank you to our very special guest, much appreciated, and thank you for Zach being humble in his first first racing stream.
Very humble.
And no thanks to Bruce and Arthur as always. See you shortly.
Great.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
Catch you in a bit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're back. Now, it's been quite fun so far.
I've enjoyed it.
I've been abused in our work chat, basically saying from Al, thanks Al. Oh, I can't believe it's been Zach's first week and he beat you. Oh, well, just want to say Zach's been practicing all week while I've been working.
Only
so...
once. I practiced once.
Once he says, once. But no, it's been absolutely fantastic. So we have picked a winner, and who's the winner, Bruce?
So congratulations to Grey Bit. You'll be taking one of our goodie bags that Arthur mentioned earlier. So yeah, we're going to reach out to all of our winners for the giveaways after the stream. Look out for a message on Twitch and we'll explain how to claim your prizes at the end.
Yes, and Bruce said before, the Twitch drops are still going, so if you came in late, you are still in for a chance. We've still got a lot of stream to go, don't we, Bruce?
Yeah, I mean, even if even if you were to join now, if you stuck around long enough, you would still probably be able to claim all of them, I reckon. So get your mates in. Anyone who's left the stream or isn't watching at the moment, get them back in. Tell them all about it. There's lots to go around.
Still more to come, Bruce, right? We still got
loads more to come. We've got the bulk of the stream still to go. There's Odyssey stuff. There's another race. The SPVFA bit. Lots and lots of things coming. So stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to a lot of this stuff still to come. But
and I want to say just properly, whilst we've got a little bit of time, I want to say a proper welcome to Zach. I know it's a bit of a show to join as your first show. So thank
Trial
you
by fire,
mate. Thank you.
Oh, it's great.
Thank you.
What better way,
for beating Stephen, because we can hold that against him now forever, which is fantastic.
That's what I do.
Sorry.
And Bruce, just for clarity, I did beat you.
Sure, mate. Yeah, whatever's gonna keep a
beat.
smile on your face when you go to sleep tonight, that's fine. You do that.
Do you know what's going to keep you smiling tonight, Bruce? That moustache that we've not spoke about the whole stream.
Oh, mate, the moustache makes everybody smile.
I think it does.
The reason for the moustache may even become apparent later in this very stream.
It will.
So,
It will never become apparent. Nobody will ever understand why you've done that.
Oh, okay.
Ever. Just at all. Doesn't make any sense
Right.
whatsoever. No, but it has been really good. And we just want to say that in our review, our 2020 review, if you were around for it, we want to thank everybody who was on the review and obviously everybody who wasn't. We do not have enough time to mention every single amazing commander, every single influencer, anybody who puts through events, anybody that's done something that we love and marvel at. If you do want to see that, we do a newsletter every week. So every second week we do a newsletter. We're also very vocal on our social channels and our forums when we want to celebrate anyone's achievements or events. And we also do a lot of live streams with all of you lovely commanders who work very hard for the game as well. So if we've not mentioned you, we do apologise, but
we don't care.
it's not because we don't care. It's genuinely to do with time. We just have so little time when it comes to these streams because Bruce has got jam-packed races. Arthur's got a jam-packed kind of skill eyebrow thing going on. Paul's looking forward to showing off his picks of the week, and Zach's just he's like John Mayer. He's like Neon. If anyone gets that reference, great song.
Even Arthur will tell you that I was cracking the whip behind the scenes, getting them to stick to the schedule earlier. So
to be honest,
do forgive us if we didn't mention you.
It's less art. It's less me, more Arth. He always has profound statements of. No, do you know what it was? We took too long saying nice things about you, Bruce. That was the problem.
Oh well, that's definitely not true.
So that was your fault that we took so long because you added.
To lie about you, Bruce.
I saw the strain. I
nice
saw
things about
you
you.
sweating trying to say something nice.
Yes, but well, there's no more time to sit and relax anymore. So I think what my favourite segment has been this year has been a really fun news team, which I have just been told that we have something to show for them. Are you guys ready to go and watch some news?
I am.
Very much so.
Well,
Play on.
let's take it away.
This is the 07 News Team, reporting for Super Cruise News. I'm your host, Ron Tolmie.
I'm Bruce Fantana.
And I'm locked outside.
Wait, what is this? Is this a skit?
On tonight's show, I investigate if Lakon are about to announce a new spaceship. We find out what happened to the man who chained himself to an interceptor as a peaceful protest against Thargoid brutality. We take a look at some of the pictures from Zachary Hudson's private email account that leaked online and ask, is that really the use of a mining limpet? And finally, Commander Kringle's Type 9 has been impounded at Galileo Station for apparently loitering in the mail slot, leaving potentially billions of children without gifts this season. Now, as you may have noticed, the news team and I are in fact working from home. This is because of the galactic situation we find ourselves in. And whilst it may have stopped me in my annual Thargoid baby hunt, it has not stopped us reporting the news, or in fact, the weather. And with that said, it's over to Block with the weather.
Thanks, Ron. So, as you can tell...
Block, sorry, this way. Other way. You're facing the wrong way, Block.
It's
There we
silly
are.
of me.
There he is.
Thanks, Ron. And so, as you can hear, it's raining today. Raining pretty hard.
Look, terribly sorry to interrupt again. Are you saying it's raining outside, or are you just getting confused because you're in a shower and the water's running?
Yes.
Yes, sorry, Block. Which one is it? Is it raining outside, or is the water running in your shower?
Yes.
Right. Block, could you describe this water for me, the rain you can hear?
Oh, of course, Ron. So, as you can tell, it's raining pretty hard, so we can hear it. It's quite warm, and it smells a bit like bubbles.
He's in a shower, isn't he? Block, you're in a shower.
Ron,
You're not outside. It's not raining. Block, it's a shower.
Sorry, how did you get into that little box in my TV screen thing?
Block, I'm not in a little box. Remember, we're working from home, Block. You're working from home, I'm working from home. Do you not remember the meeting we had, Block? I bought you a big box of sweets and a cuddly toy, the one you ate. Do you not remember this meeting at all?
I remember eating the cuddly toy.
Hey, you! What are you doing in my shower?
Back to you, Ron.
Thank you, Block, for your insightful, as always, weather reporting. Anyways, I'm now joined by Bruce Fantana, my co-host. Bruce, how are you doing there?
Hi, Ron. Thank you so much for asking. I'm feeling great. I'm silky smooth and relaxed after my third sauna of the day, so nice and chill and ready to deliver some news. Our first story, I understand you've actually done some undercover work for, so I'd be very keen to hear the details if you're willing to share, Ron.
Indeed, I am, Bruce. As you may be aware, that Lakon Spaceways was recently the subject of a takeover bid. Now, I wanted to find out what the hullabaloo was all about, so I did some deep diving and sorted out the truth.
So you went to our investigative journalists and found some hard evidence?
No, Bruce, I Google searched on the internet, and I think you'll find I have the answer. On your screen right now is what I believe is the brand new ship from Lakon, which has sparked the takeover bid. Clearly part of the Asp Explorer series, this ship has yet to see a line.
Hold on. Ron, that's not an Asp Explorer.
No, I think it's a new ship, Bruce.
It's not a new ship at all. It doesn't even belong to Lakon. That ship doesn't exist in our universe.
Bruce, are you saying that there's a parallel universe where another designer has accidentally created a ship that looks identical to an Asp Explorer?
I don't necessarily want to go that far, Ron. I don't see any other explanation.
Well, as they say in Rome, mi casa e su casa, Bruce. So we'll get back to this story with some more investigations. But Bruce, before we move on, I want to find out what the 511 is on the Thargoid sympathizer chained himself to an interceptor.
Don't you mean the 411?
No, Bruce, I don't.
Right. Well, yeah, so the 511 is his funeral is next week, Ron.
Great. Okay. In other news, I think we should go to the sports with Champ Crow. So, Champ, what's new with sports in the universe today?
I don't know what we're doing. What's going on? What do you want me to say?
Champ, you're the sports correspondent, sports, SLV racing, the buckyball, Type 9, cows through the canyons, that sort of thing. What's new?
All I know is I've been sent some sort of weird script thing and this box with chest hair written on it. I have no idea what's going on.
I think perhaps Champ's had too much Slavian brandy. Back to the features. Thanks again, Champ.
Who's Champ?
Thanks for that, Ron. Apologies, dearest viewers. It seems like our very own Champ Crow is not feeling himself today. Someone else who's not feeling himself is Zachary Hudson, who, after his private email leak, showed a little bit more than anyone else would like to see. Would you care to share the details, Ron?
Indeed, Bruce. I mean, there's been some fiascos in our time, but this, quite frankly, is the largest one we've seen. And speaking of largest things we've seen, what you're about to be shown will blow your mind. I've seen many.
Wait, Ron, I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm actually getting a transmission right now. I'm being told about some new information that we've just found live from Frontier Developments. I think we should cut to this. We've got some breaking news to share. Let's roll.
The world of Elite has always been a dangerous place, but with Odyssey it takes on a whole new dimension.
For the first time, pilots are going to leave the security of their cockpit. This is going to force them to have a mentality shift from bold and daring star pilot to vulnerable on-foot troop.
The premise that we've taken with the sphere of combat in Elite Dangerous Odyssey is to take the nature of combat in space and bring it down onto the planet's surface.
One of the key elements of Odyssey's combat is what we consider the combat triangle.
For the first time we're seeing on-foot commanders, SRVs, ships all converging into this really unique experience that's inherently unpredictable.
All of these elements actually join together so that the combat can span from the surface all the way into space.
By embracing ships, SRVs and on-foot troops in the same combat space, it allows us opportunities to not just have combat in terms of people just shooting each other. It also opens up opportunities for us to have more tactical gameplay.
The wide range of environments to fight in, whether that's indoors or outdoors, gives you a unique experience.
Audio also plays an incredibly important role in portraying the combat experience that we are trying to get across to our players.
One of our main focuses is making the game sound cool, but way more important than that is just communicating information to the player. So the sound mix supports the player in whatever they happen to be doing at that time. It focuses their attention on things that matter most.
Things like the player's breath, just how intense are they breathing? It's all to do with the stress of combat. It's not always about the bullets and the explosions. Sometimes it's about the much more intimate things that the player's experiencing. Players will have to make critical decisions about their loadouts, and that includes the suit they're wearing, the weapons that they're taking in, and this will differ really dependent on the type of situation that they're going into.
We have 3 weapon classes in Odyssey, each linked to an individual manufacturer. So we have plasma weapons, laser and kinetic.
Those manufacturers each have a distinct style. For every weapon, the character of their manufacturer goes through every aspect of it, whether it's the look, sound or feel.
One of the things we were really trying to do with the combat to make it authentic was to create weapons that felt both powerful and satisfying to use.
It's the small touches that make the guns feel designed and belong to a specific manufacturer, like the magazines on the laser weapons that are magnetised into the housing with a really satisfying noise that slides in.
As animators animating weapons, what we want to do is bring as much character to the individual weapons as possible. Weapons have 2 functions. One is to be cool, and one is to telegraph to the player what's happening in the game. If you're holding a big rocket launcher, you feel very powerful. You shoot people from a distance and you can wipe out groups of people. But at the same time, having that big weapon and the mobility issues with it make you feel very, very vulnerable.
Each of the weapons needed to sound unique, but each of the family types needed to have their own sonic identity. Part of designing these weapons was to have an emphasis on gun tails. Gun tails being the second part of a gunshot. We were really fortunate enough to go to Pinewood to record a small set of weapons, but in a huge variation of different environments, ranging from huge hangar-type spaces and built-up streets to kind of really small, intense, tight interiors and stairwells. So we then applied these gun tails to each corresponding weapon, so they sound different in each interior and exterior space that we created. Not only does it make the guns sound more interesting, but it also helps the player know where they are, creating more immersive experience.
It really does feel like you're in the middle of a battle. You can hear the bullets popping in the distance, you can see and hear the ships flying overhead, the AI soldiers shouting and shooting and running, the explosions flashing and roaring. It really feels like you're in a situation where any small decision could have a huge consequence, and there's something really compelling about that.
We put a lot of consideration into the combat in Elite Dangerous Odyssey. We really hope that you like it as much as we do.
By the beard of Grom, Bruce, that was incredible. I'm glad I'm at home because I believe I've just sold myself again.
Again, Ron? It's just as well that we put that hatch in your chair since the last time.
Indeed, however, I believe my Persian rug is now ruined.
Fortunately, Commanders, that's everything we have time for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and a big 07 from the 07 news team. Stay classy, Commanders.
Indeed, thank you, Bruce. And since it is the holiday season, a special holiday message from me, Ron Tomey. As they say in France, on voulez-vous, on pomme soleil. Happy holidays, everyone. an 07. Bruce, do we know any good lawyers? I believe Block might need one.
Yeah, we still have that guy who helped us with the Marlovsk incident.
Good. I mean, it's his third time this year he's locked himself in someone else's house.
One. Hello.
Oh, you take it.
No, I just said hello.
Run with it, mate.
I just said
oh,
hello.
Okay, just hello. All right. Well, welcome back, guys. Wow, that really was something, wasn't it? Pretty amazing. We're actually gonna go a little bit more into the dev diary in a minute. We hope you guys enjoyed the little skit and the return of our infamous, notorious news team. Yeah. So, like I said, let's hop right into it. Actually, Arthur, I believe you have a little interview lined up that you did.
I did indeed. This morning, I got to interview Gareth Hughes, lead game designer for Odyssey, and we're going to roll that interview just now. We also took some questions from everyone. I do mention this in the interview. We did take some questions from everyone on the forums. There's something like 80 odd questions where I had to stop, sort of listen them down. Gareth has these questions, and we're going to answer them in a follow-up forum post because it would just take too long. I think this interview is about 30 minutes, so we go into a lot of detail. So, yeah, whenever you guys are ready, please feel free to run the tape. Welcome back, everyone. So we've just watched the amazing Dev Diary 3, and I am joined by one of its superstars, the amazing lead designer, Gareth Hughes. Gareth, thanks for joining us.
Nice to be here, Arthur. Pleasure.
So obviously, for everyone watching, yes, this is pre-recorded. I was going to try and grab Gareth on for a live segment, but bearing in mind everyone's aware of my technical abilities, for me to start swapping guests in and out would have been a nightmare. So Gareth very kindly agreed to pre-record this on the morning of the show. So thanks again, Gareth, for coming in. So first off, for everyone that's watching, I wanted to go through your job role and what that job role is and what you do, Gareth. So if you could give us a bit of an overview.
Yeah, sure. So I'm the lead designer on Odyssey, and essentially what that means is I kind of guide and steer the design team to deliver on the vision of what we want Odyssey to be. The role kind of changes through the course of the project. So at the start, it's much more about ideation and prototyping and, developing the core ideas and systems. Then we move into what we'd consider a production phase, which is really about the execution of those ideas and designs, both in terms of system designs and in terms of content. And then we go into the end phase, which is pretty much where we're hitting now, which is really about balancing and, iterating on the things that are already in the game and making sure that they work in concert and the game plays as well as it can.
So a fairly complex, no pressure job, right? There's no pressure in this job at all.
There's pressure, but it's, it trades off. It's a lot of fun at the same time. So,
yeah. Now, of course, I want to touch real briefly on, because I know people are super keen for me to start sort of quizzing you on combat, which we will do. But one thing I do want to touch on is just obviously the way the world is at the moment. You guys have been diligently working from home. Now, I know you guys are really, really sort of capable individuals, but how has working from home sort of affected sort of the day-to-day?
Well, it's certainly changed things. I think we've, learned to adapt to it to a degree. I think the overall the productivity of the team's been maintained, and we've made really, really good progress. But it's changed the way that we have to communicate. We've kind of, in some ways, we've lost that ability to almost just be walking past somebody and see something cool on their screen and go, "Oh, that looks really cool." I've been waiting to see this, and that those kind of more organic moments are a little bit lost.
Yeah.
So we find that we almost compensate for that by having a lot more meetings, using online software to talk. Yeah, I mean, it's been a lifesaver. Without that, I don't know what we'd have done, quite frankly. But yeah, it's still not quite the same. And I think especially things where perhaps like a build review, where we in office we would have all been in the same room looking at the same TV, and it's much easier to communicate exactly what you're seeing and exactly what you mean than it is when you're sharing a screen virtually. So it's not been without its issues, that's for sure.
No.
But I think considering those, we've made fantastic sort of progress, and our momentum has carried on through the
Indeed.
years. So really pleased overall.
Yeah. And thank you guys, because I know you guys put a shift in. So, and I speak for the community. So when I say this, and I will say this honestly, they do appreciate the amount of work you guys are putting in. So, I'm sure they will want me to say thank you to you guys for doing that.
That's much appreciated.
But now on to the meat of it, really. So we've just watched the Combat Dev Diary, and there's going to be a ton of questions. So you and I had a chat about this last night, and rather than me go through like a set list of questions, and we have got them from the community, some of them will be answered as we discuss. But Gareth has very kindly decided to help me out and answer these sort of after the stream, and we'll get these out to you ASAP. So there's a lot of questions that have come through from the forum, but we'll get through as many of them as we have a conversation now, and then we'll post a follow-up after this convo. But I want to keep this really sort of free form, not because I haven't planned, but because when we had this conversation, you and I got really excited about just talking about Elite, right?
Yeah,
and I think that it's a better way of discussing Elite, and we can just sort of talk about it. So going into combat, this is what we're focused on at the moment. It's not the only thing in Odyssey, but it's the thing we're focused on at the moment. So can you discuss the triangle of combat that you spoke about before, and then we'll go into sort of missions and weapons and all the juicy stuff afterwards?
Yeah, sure. So although Odyssey is essentially an on-foot addition to Elite, combat isn't limited to just on foot. We're embracing SRVs, ships, and troops all in the same space, all at the same time, fighting each other. So that doesn't come without its challenges, obviously, in terms of balance and tempo and all sorts of other things that we've had to consider. But we think we found a way really to make that work. I think finding ways to encourage players to perhaps use some of the smaller and medium ships has been a really nice step forward, and actually create a bit more variety, in the ships that we're seeing our testers and stuff using. So that's super cool. But yeah, we've especially with our conflict zones and settlement gameplay, I think we found a really nice way of creating a focal point where those sort of things can come together in a balanced, and exciting way.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing. I mean, you see a lot of stuff in the sort of the gameplay trailer and in the dev diary. We see certain elements. One of the things I spoke to you yesterday about is where can combat take place. Right now, I'm right in saying you can take place in most areas apart from like social hubs and stations, right?
That's right. So there isn't really any limitation on where combat can occur, apart from the social spaces. As you say, we want those to be a safe space for players to meet and to get their missions and interact with vendors, etc., etc. But yeah, as far as combat goes, certainly for players engaging with other players, just as it does in Elite at the moment, that can pretty much happen anywhere and everywhere. In terms of engaging against AI PvE activities, then that can happen really at settlements, POIs, and at conflict zones. So they act as kind of honeypots really to draw in for activities of which combat is a part, but certainly not everything. Combat is just one strand of the game that we're making.
Sure. And combat is an element within other missions, right? So some missions won't require combat, but combat might take place for argument's sake.
Absolutely. So, we're one of our kind of key design philosophies is about maintaining player agency. And we're keen that we don't ever really force the player into combat. Obviously, if you're taking a massacre mission or if you're engaging in an assassination, there's going to be a degree of combat. But the player has a choice really about how much combat they want. Do you want to go in all guns blazing? Are you going to scout maybe the settlement out and be a bit more cautious and infiltrate your way in, perhaps using some of the tools that the suits have, which allow you to sort of be a bit more sneaky, really, rather than just going in, like I say, all guns blazing. So we always want to maintain that choice to the player, and I think that's really important. That if somebody wants that really intense, full-on combat, then there's conflict zones, or you can just go into the settlement and start shooting the place up. Whether that's on your own or with teammates from your wing, or whether you're jumping in and there's already random other players in that settlement doing stuff. it can pan out in a multitude of different ways every single time. So I think that variety and that organic nature of the way that the player can approach things is really critical.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I want to do this interview like this, because as you're talking, I'm like, I want to ask these questions. So you mentioned assassinations, and one thing I'm going to get told off for asking, but we can talk about, but we will go into more detail later on. But you mentioned tools. Now, you also mentioned assassination missions. So talk me through. I mean, I have seen, because I'm very lucky to have seen some behind the scenes footage as we're going through the whole process, but I've seen various tools being used in missions and how an assassination can work and how you can locate that said target. Do you want to give us like a brief, if you can, because honestly, there's a lot of ways you can do this, but I've got an assassination mission. Can you give me some options of how I could go about finding that target and taking that mission?
Yeah, sure. So you could literally go into the settlement and systematically move your way through that settlement and just kill everybody until you happen across the target that you've been asked to kill and kill them, right? So that's the absolute brute force. I just want to use combat as the key to unlock this mission and finish it. And that's fine, you can do that. Now, obviously, depending on where you are, if you're in an anarchy system, not so bad, but if you're, in a law-abiding system, shooting up and murdering all those citizens is going to cause you some pretty hefty legal problems in terms of incurring bounties and crimes.
You better get a good lawyer.
Yeah, you don't get to do it for free in that sense. But if you want to take a more considered approach, you could, for instance, find a information terminal in the settlement. And if you've managed to gain authorization that allows you access to it, either by placing a hacking device on it or scanning some of the AI that are already in the settlement covertly and basically duping their credentials, you can gain access to the staff list, pinpoint the target that you're after in terms of location, highlight them in world with one of your Insight AR markers, and it makes it much, much easier then to track them down. But you've obviously had to go through those steps to get there.
And of course, sorry, Gareth.
That's right. Once you've got the target marked, you can then use some of the other tools to infiltrate the building, perhaps that they're in, to circumvent some of the security measures, and then basically assassinate them completely discreetly. With the minimum of fuss, and even to the point where you could have maybe a teammate, waiting on the outskirts of the settlement. So if you do get detected and all hell lets loose, your getaway driver's ready to take you out of the settlement as soon as you can get back to it.
I mean, because we were discussing this yesterday, and it's like, because you could. I mean, when you're scanning these individuals at the base, if they see you doing that, they are going to be suspicious, right? And they're going to scan you and work out who you are. So the AI will react to what you're doing. So we talked about it yesterday. If you cut through a panel to access an area, if no one sees you, fine. But an AI guard may patrol the area, see that panel, and then be like, "Hang on, this is not right," and then go looking to see what's going on, right?
Yeah, that's right. So our AI guys have done a fantastic job of kind of getting the AI to a place where it feels really responsive and intelligent. So it's stimuli based. So the AI is constantly looking for audio and visual stimuli that it can be interested in. That, like you say, it might mean that it sees a cut panel on the floor. It will instantly be interested and go and investigate that and have a look around that area, because it knows that shouldn't have happened, for instance. If it sees you actually cutting the panel, which is an illegal act in the settlement, then they'll basically escalate and you're in trouble.
I'm just fixing it. I mean, this is, I mean, and again, then we talked about like different player roles and stuff and what they can do now. What I thought was really cool when we were chatting about this yesterday, and I got really excited about, was the idea of I've seen behind the scenes footage of sort of players removing, well, obviously it's devs, say players, but it's devs removing power cords from settlements. Can you talk us through sort of what happens there, what effect that can have, and what the usage are of those power cords once you've taken them out?
So maybe if I come at it from a mission point of view, it'll make it a bit easier. So for the power core is basically something that is inside the reactor building, and it's a key component of that reactor. The reactor itself powers the entire settlement. So if that core is removed, essentially the settlement loses power, which is obviously a really big deal. All the lights go out, everything stops working, all the doors lock in place, etc., etc. And the AI obviously get pretty agitated about the fact that their settlement's been shut down.
Yeah.
And obviously they know what's happened, so they're going to go and investigate that reactor building and see what's going on in there. So from a mission perspective, it could two examples really. So one, you could have a powered down, deserted settlement, and actually the faction that owns it has gone, look, we want to get our settlement back online. Your mission is to take this power core that we're going to give you, fly down into the settlement in your own ship or in a taxi, however you want to get there, or with a buddy, if they can give you a lift, and essentially get through the settlement, maybe having to use the cutter to cut away door panels and overcharge it to push the doors open, gain access, put the power core in, get the settlement back online. Some of the missions have an extension, which would be so some of the buildings might be on fire because there's been fights and stuff there previously, and you'll be tasked with venting those buildings once they're back online to actually put the fires out.
That's
by
cool.
Depressurizing them. Then you'll have to repressurize them to get the mission done. Now that sounds pretty straightforward, in a fairly almost pedestrian kind of way, but the wrinkles that can happen there is that there could already be pirates / scavengers in the settlement, ransacking the place. So then you've either got to kind of avoid them or take them out, whatever you want to do, or you could be in the middle of the mission and a dropship can come in and drop those scavengers in, right? So we've had some really tense moments when we're play testing, and you're kind of in the dark with your torch on, moving through these buildings, trying to vent the fires and get it ready, and then you just hear like from outside, you can hear the dropship coming in, and you're like, oh no, they've arrived. You sort of have a look out the window or out the door, and you're like, yeah, actually, there's quite a lot of them. And as you mentioned earlier, like the scanning element. So there's kind of several levels of scan. So you have a visual scan where you look at somebody, a passive kind of scan, really, and it basically gives you their basic details, their name, their health and shields, and kind of their strength, really, their power. And sometimes you look out there and you realise that actually it's dropped in a load of really high level scavengers, the sort of tier 5, and you're like, oh no, they're so they're much more powerful than me. Right, and if you want, you can have a go. It's probably not going to end very well for you, but
this ties into the stuff we were saying. I mean, like we were talking about, like, or say I was getting really excited, and I was saying, like, so could I sneak all the way into a settlement with my buddy outside in just milling around, doing nothing, we're not wanted, we're just in a settlement, and I want to steal the power core. Could I sneak my way to that power core, steal it, and then at the moment I'm stealing it, my buddy then starts kicking off outside, and I run outside, and we basically have a bank robbery.
It kind of is, So we have heist missions. There's a couple of flavors of those. One of it is exactly as you say, sort of stealing the core. Another one is going into production buildings and stealing the output of their production, or even stealing data, defense plans or whatever it is that's in the settlement. Now, this can be done through the mission system, where they're explicitly telling you go to system A, go to settlement B, and do this thing. Or you can just rock up at a settlement and decide, actually, this one's looking a bit soft. I think I've got an advantage here, or I've scoped this out. I've scouted it. They've not really seen me. I've not got a hostility problem with the settlement inherently because of my criminality or anything. And you can kind of stealth your way in, essentially, infiltrate and ransack the place. And if you want to be nicking the power core or the production elements or the data, you can take that, and then you can go back to social spaces and you can sell that stuff for quite a high markup.
Or as you said before, you could keep it and go to an abandoned settlement and use it to power that up, which I think was really cool, because I like the idea of finding someone from my crew who's like not wanted or known in that system as like the guy to go in and do all the scouting, because they won't get like, well, what are you doing?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So we talked a little bit about, we talked a lot about sort of various missions and stuff, and clearly combat is why we're here. So Can you talk to me a little bit about how important we released a HUD image the other day with some various bits and bobs on it, and there's people asking about power and the different suits and how they have and how they operate and work and what happens when you get shot and can you be healed, etc. So let's get through some of those questions as we can. How important is power management for your suit, and how does that work with the different versions we have, Gareth?
Yep. So where should I start? Okay, so we've essentially got 4 key base suits, right? We've got the Remlock Maverick, which is our utility suit, which is really good for scavenging. It's quite robust. It's got a really good backpack size, so you can fit a lot of ill-gotten gains in it. And it also has a unique tool on it. So the unique tool for this suit is the the Arc Cutter. So this is the thing that can basically cut panels away and reveal what's underneath. So that can be, gaining the mechanical access to a door or whatever you're going to do. So that's really the kind of scavenger, what we call the utility suit. Then we've got the Manticore Dominator Tactician suit. This one's completely geared around combat.
I like it.
It's a cool suit. It's obviously, really tough in terms of shield, in terms of armor. And it also allows you to equip 2 primary weapons where the other suits don't have that. So you can really tool yourself up, with that. And also you can carry a lot more grenades and stuff as well.
Yep.
So it's sort of its consumable capacity in terms of offensive capability is much better.
Yeah.
And then the third suit is our Supratech Artemis, which is our Explorer suit. And that one, it really is geared around sustaining you and your life as you're out in the wilderness, looking for biological samples, searching out POIs, or just, soaking in our incredible new planet terrain. So that one is much more geared about survivability out in the wild rather than obviously combat or nicking stuff.
Sure.
And then the fourth suit, of course, is one that everyone's already got, which is the flight suit. The flight suit is, how shall I put it? It's viable, right? You can get out of your ship in the flight suit and you can do activities in it if you want to. But it is worse in every way than the 3 suits that are dedicated to on foot activities.
Right,
but it's there, right? And you can use it.
It's designed for a purpose, right? It's there for your spaceship.
It's a flight suit, right? Exactly.
It's the same way I could go outside in my pajamas. I mean, they're designed for sleeping, and I can wear them outside. It's not advised, but I can do it.
We told you about that, I think.
So I mean, but that opens up. I mean, again, and we're going back to suits and stuff in a second.
Yeah.
But again, that opens up that how you work as a team with your wing, which I know you guys have said you're really focused on making sure that all that stuff is working as most efficiently as it can for Odyssey. But one of the things that I thought was really key there is like that unique tool. You could have someone go into that base in their scavenger suit, scout around, cut through doors, and be like the person, I'm going to try and steal this piece of kit, and as much as I can because I've got the backpack. But you guys outside in your tactical suits, you need to cover me because when I come running, I haven't got I don't have the firepower that you will have to defend myself. And again, if you're a tactical guy, you could have maybe 2 primary weapons, one for shield stripping and one straight over to kinetic to take down armor and health, right?
Yeah, so that element is really important, I think, in terms of understanding how the combat in Odyssey works. So we have different damage types. Basically, we have lasers, plasma, kinetic, and explosive. Different manufacturers make different weapons that have these outputs. So we've got kinematics do the kinetics, Manticore do the plasma, and Takada do the lasers.
Yeah.
The concept behind it is that, and very much this is taking from the ship combat gameplay. We wanted to make sure that we transposed all the cool stuff that was already happening in the ship game down into on foot. So, we want it to feel that there's a real synergy between the two, that these aren't 2 parts like that. These are layers that are fitting together like that. So anyway, sorry, I'm going off track.
No, please.
So lasers are obviously effective against shields. Kinetics are really good against armor, and plasma are kind of in the middle and pretty good against both. but are quite hard to use and have a high skill ceiling because the travel time on the plasma projectiles is a lot slower than obviously the laser and kinetic.
Yeah.
So what that means is when you engage in combat, obviously you want your shields on, and your opponents, the AI will automatically turn their shields on when they engage. The most effective way to fight at that point is to use a laser weapon or a plasma weapon to strip those shields as quickly as you can. Then once those shields are down, for efficiency, really you want to be swapping to a kinetic or an explosive weapon to get through that armor. All our commanders, AI or player, all have the same health value of 100. It's completely consistent.
Yep.
And it's the armor strength which modifies the incoming damage, and obviously shields work as you'd expect. So that creates, on a personal level, that's where the tactician suit really comes into play, right? It's like, oh, it gets too primary. Is that exciting? Well, actually, in our combat system, it's really meaningful.
It's almost vital, right?
Yeah, it means you could have like a laser assault rifle, and then swap to a kinetic SMG to finish people off, right? Massively satisfying and really efficient. Yeah. But what it also means is that individuals within a team can load out with specific weapons to complement each other. So it could be somebody's role to kind of hang back a little bit and be taking people's shields down, or conversely getting in close and taking them down with maybe a shotgun or something. And then further back, someone's basically picking them off once the shields are stripped down from range. So there's lots of combinations that you can use, and also there's grenades in the mix. So we'll have explosive.
Do love a grenade.
Pardon?
Do love a grenade.
Everyone loves a grenade.
It's the solution to everything.
Yeah, pretty much. So we restrict the amount that you can carry at any one time because they are quite potent. So it needs to be balanced. But in terms of their usefulness, so we've got three kind of main types. One is an explosive grenade, which is again really good against armor. We have an EMP style one, which is really, really good against shields. And when I say shields and armor, I don't just mean for troops. They also affect ships and SRVs, which is part of the combat triangle that we were talking about earlier. And the third one is actually a defensive one. So it's like a shield generator. So you throw it out and it basically creates a shield dome that gives you a short period of really powerful shield around you to protect you.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things you mentioned there, and people ask about. I mean, like, you will be fighting vehicles in Odyssey whilst you're on the ground, and I'll ask some easy questions that I think, because I'm like, can I use my SRV in a combat zone, and can I run someone over in it?
Yes, yes. We've actually, so yes to both of those, and we'd actively encourage it. It's not like it's an afterthought. We want people to be able to use their SRVs in combat. One of the things we've actually been working on really recently is AI behavior for them getting out of the way if you actually try and run them over. And we found that they're actually really quite effective at it. So we've had to dial it back a bit because it's quite satisfying when you sort of plow through them.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things players have realised is like you can use your vehicles, and a lot of questions that I've seen come through from the forum is like, what's to stop me just coming in my ship and wasting everyone? I'm like, well, I've seen the base defences and they're not to be sniffed at. No. So you can, if you want, start rolling up without taking those defences down, but they will hurt your ship rapid. And also AI are not going to mess around when a vehicle turns up. They will start deploying their heavy weapons pretty quickly, and there are weapons designed, to hurt vehicles. So don't think you can just roll in.
No.
You'll be invulnerable.
So you're right. There's definitely the power differential between a Sidewinder and Anaconda is obviously massive, and that is quite hard for us to cope with.
Yeah.
So we do have the base defenses, which are pretty effective against any size ship. So that includes point defense that can shoot down any sort of incoming missiles and stuff that ships are firing into settlements. We have anti-personnel turrets in the settlements as well, so they can help the AI in terms of taking out SRVs. And we have anti-ship turrets, which will do a whole load of damage to ships as well. So the settlements themselves, and it depends on the theme, how much of these defences they have. Obviously, military settlements will be really, really well defended.
Farms not so much.
Well, right, okay, yes, yeah, really, and I think that's really interesting, and that we do provide those defences against ships, and on the SRV level, the troops maybe as an individual would really obviously struggle to take on an SRV. Once you get 3, 4, 5, 6 of those guys together, they can make pretty short work of an SRV if it's sort of static and not thinking about where it's positioning itself.
Yeah,
So
I think I asked you the question about the Sidewinder. So if a stock Sidewinder just landed and was hostile, how long would it last? And you said about 30 seconds, give or take.
Yeah, depending on what we're shooting, it wouldn't last that long. Yeah, I mean the as I mentioned, we've got grenades that affect shields and stuff. So obviously they don't necessarily take a ship's shields down immediately, but they certainly contribute to getting through them quite effectively.
Yeah, I mean, one of the questions I was asked, and I'll answer this, I think, because I think I've got this right, and you might say I'm wrong, but one of the questions asked on the forums was, could a player run into a ship and damage it? And I was like, no, I don't. Even me, as an on foot, I was like, I don't think I could damage a ship if I ran into it. I think I would just hurt myself.
Could a player damage a ship?
I think they're referring to like if you boot ships in Elite, you have like the shields go off, and they were like, oh, I wonder if shields will hurt a ship. I was like, I don't think you could run as hard as you want into a ship, but you're just going to hurt yourself. So I wouldn't advise it.
I don't think it would impart any damage. I think
no, you might leave a face print, like when a bird hits a windshield, just to your face. One of the other questions we spoke about yesterday was the suit and your weapons are pretty much like how your spaceship is in Elite Dangerous right now. Like that is very, very important, and they are stuff that can be customized. Some of these customizations will inherently affect how these weapons are used, and one of the ways you can do this is by engineering them. Now, we get asked a lot about engineers. Can we meet the engineers that we have in game now in person? And do you know if there will be any more engineers in Elite Dangerous Odyssey?
So yes and yes. So we are allowing you to visit the existing engineers and also to visit our new Odyssey engineers. The new Odyssey engineers will be primarily focused around suit and weapon modules and upgrades, where the existing guys will still be focused on the ships.
Yeah. And one of the things we spoke about is like when you sort of engineer a weapon, that weapon is then engineered. You can't then change it again. You'll have to get another version of that SMG for argument's sake, and then engineer that if you want to. But it's not an easy task, right? This is something we want players to really think about in terms of their playstyle.
Yes, definitely. So we want players to have an affinity with their weapons so that they don't feel disposable, that they're not throwaway. It's not that kind of loot-a-shooter mechanic of every 2 minutes I'm getting a new gun that's ever so slightly better than the last gun that I had and I'm throwing that one away. It's like when you buy a gun, we want you to kind of love it.
Yeah.
So, that it's spending the time and the resources to be able to upgrade it, to be able to add those engineered modules onto it and really tailor it to exactly how you want it to be. Then if you find that actually there's other activities or ways that you want to play with that weapon, then you can buy another version of it and essentially tailor that one to be different and similarly with your suits, the role that you want it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's the same system for both.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super conscious. I could talk like this for hours, honestly, and I'm just conscious of time. And also, I have to stream in like 50 minutes, and I haven't prepped any of that. I have. So
just one other thing, Arthur, just before we move off on that. I appreciate that it could sound like that's going to be an awful lot of grinding, right? And to a degree, there will be, we'll expect players to play the game to be able to earn the currency to be able to do these things. But at the same time, we're quite keen that the entry level to be able to purchase and try all these things out, as in suits and weapons, is actually quite a low barrier.
Yeah.
So, the end game of having fully modded suits and weapons is something to aim for long term. But actually, we're not going to put barriers in the way of you being able to purchase and try different suits and different weapons really early on in the experience.
So it just lets the player find how they want to play first before they pursue that sort of career. That's great. One of the questions we got asked, and I think it's nice, is what so far in the development, what has pleased you the most thus far? I mean, I'm sure there'll be other bits coming along, but so far, what's been like the most pleasant thing you've seen it in from initial ideas through to fruition, or?
So because we're talking about combat, I think I would have to say the first time I saw a conflict zone up and running, and sort of kind of flew in the dropship and was dropped into it, that was such a cool moment. And it was all AI as well, and it just looked so cool seeing that kind of war zone kicking off in a settlement I knew quite well from missions and stuff. And it's like, okay, so it's ticked over into war. Those two the factions involved are now fighting in that settlement as a conflict zone. I'm coming in this dropship. I'm dropping straight into the action, and I can see it all happening, down on the floor, and the scale of it, and and all the laser fire pinging around, and grenades going off. It just looked awesome, and that for me was like, yeah, okay, so we've got something pretty cool here.
Yeah, I think for me, I mean, I only saw, when I first joined, I saw some footage, and it was I think it was a conflict zone, and there was the group was running across a bridge into this, and there was AI ships flying over. It might actually been devs, to be fair, flying over and fighting each other in the sky. There was anti-air going off, and I was just like, wow, this is not what I expected, but this is incredible. So there's a lot of stuff we haven't covered. I mean, like a ton we haven't covered, and we will go into it in more detail as we go on. Gareth, is there anything else you want to talk about or say to before I give you back your day and let you get back to doing the job I pulled you away from?
I guess I'd just like to say, thanks to the team for all the effort that they've put in, and thanks to the guys here watching the stream today. I appreciate that we're taking our time, but I really think it'll be worth it, and I think there's going to be an awful lot of surprises in Odyssey and things that you guys are going to really enjoy. So hopefully next year we can, start to reveal more and more of these things that we hope that you'll love.
Awesome. Gareth, it goes without saying, it's been a pleasure. I got to interview you for the Dev Diary. I had a chat with you yesterday. Honestly, one of the nicest guys. So, thank you so much for everything.
Thanks, Arthur.
I know I hassle you all the time for stuff, but I really appreciate you making time for us today and over the emails and all the times I message you.
No worries,
so thank
mate.
you so much, buddy. Have a lovely Christmas to you and your family. And I'm sure I'll speak before, but if not, I'll see you in the new year, buddy. All right, thanks a lot.
Arthur. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
Oof. Well, that was quite a bit of information about Odyssey. We had the Dev Diary, which was incredible, followed by the awesome Gareth and an interview that he gave me this morning. So thank you again, Gareth, for taking time out of your day. I know time is of an essence if you're watching, but thank you so much. And I think you all agree there was a lot to unpack there. Now, as I said on the interview, and I said earlier on the stream, there was so much we could have carried on talking about. We just didn't have time. We will be following up probably tomorrow or early next week with a forum post with loads of questions that you've asked us about combat. And Gareth is busily working his way through answering them so we get the right information to you. To celebrate the Dev Diary and to celebrate Gareth and his team, I want to give another giveaway. Do another giveaway. I should separate my words, shouldn't I? I say all my words, but I put them together as one ball. I should separate them up apart.
Just put them together even more and see if you can create a new language.
Like Glaswegian.
That is very close to Glaswegian. So what I'm going to do now, Bruce has very kindly informed me that put an exclamation mark doesn't help us doesn't help our bots. So when I ask for the word this time, I will use the hashtag. So a hashtag is going to be the word that I want you to put in, and we're going to give away another goodie bag. There's the earbuds, a t-shirt, a water bottle, and a pin badge. And I want you to type in hashtag. I don't know. Yeah, hashtag combat.
Really struggled to think of that one, didn't you?
I was going to say hashtag moustache, but I realised it's a very difficult word to spell.
It's so not. Yeah.
Hashtag pew pew pew.
No, don't say
Yeah,
that
so
because people.
hashtag combat to win a goodie bag.
Brilliant.
So that was the dev diary. A little bit of fun from us, and the fantastic interview from Gareth. Bruce, what's next? What's happening in the rest of the day?
So we still have lots for you. Hopefully you enjoyed that, as Arthur has said. Yet to come is our second race, where we'll have the glorious Commander Ascorbius joining us for cow racing. So it will be in Type 9s, flying through canyons and trying not to crash, but Low and Fast is the name of the game. After that, we still have our very special guests from the SPVFA as well, to do a Hall of Fame for all of the beautiful screenshots from 2020, where they've picked their favorites. So stay tuned for that. There's also going to be more goodies and things to be won. So stay tuned.
Yes. And the winner of the goodie bag is Commander Stoffel from YouTube. Well done. So there won't be instructions on YouTube, but if you please email in at community@frontier.co.uk, that's community@frontier.co.uk, tell us what you won your prize, and we'll get that sent out to you as soon as we can. So as Bruce said, we're moving on to another gaming segment, and as you have seen if you've watched the stream all the way through, that may mean that we have to. Well, it doesn't may mean, it does mean that we're going to have to actually stop streaming just for a wee moment, get everything set up, make sure the RTMP server's working out, and then we'll come back online. So we will go offline. Please do not go anywhere. For everybody on YouTube, please refresh your screen in the next 2 minutes, and we'll be back. We're just going to try and get on, make sure the video's working, and make sure that we're all in the same place and the game. So we will be back. And again, with your Twitch drops, don't worry if you only got 25 minutes or 40 minutes and you're waiting for the half past, the hour, or the an hour and a half one. It will continue as soon as we go back live again. So we'd really appreciate it if you stick around for more goodies, more fun, and more Elite Dangerous.
Pop a brew on.
Pop a brew.
Indeed. We'll be back soon, guys.